In this video, I want to prepare you for your personal finances project. And as you can see, there's two major parts and then an extra credit. There is first budgeting, and we'll go over that. And then here's um, here are the budget worksheets we'll use, and then here's investing. And then at the very end, we've got extra credit where you choose a possible occupation for the future. So ignore this about, for this year, it's going to be electronic, so ignore. So during the coronavirus, ignore what it says about a paperclip to put everything together. Um, I do want you to make sure you don't work with anybody else on this. This is just you. I would love, however, to see you working with your parents on this. That would be amazing if you would talk to your parents about all of this, because your parents know a lot more than you. They know a lot more than me, very likely, about budgeting and investing. And so there's a world of knowledge, of wisdom right there. Just make good use of it. Okay, so for this year, 2020, spring of 2020, and future years of you're showing this video, just ask me what the particulars are about turning it in. But for spring of 2020, you're going to be filling this out and then taking a picture of it and sending it in. Okay, you're going to be doing it into the homework drop in Redweb. So, first step, budgeting. And if you see here, it says college. We're going to go through two phases. First is when you're in college, and then when you've got a household of your own. Okay. Step A, use one of the budget worksheets on the next page to prepare your budget. So what you do is go to this one, fill this out. Don't worry about the annual yet. Just for now, you're just doing the monthly. Fill out all this information. If something doesn't apply, some of this won't apply if you're in college. Okay, so it's possible you won't have any utilities that might already be put into the rent with where you're going to be staying. Okay, but try to make this as realistic as possible for what next semester is going to be like. Talk to your parents. Here it is fine if you talk to, when I say don't talk to anybody else, don't talk to anyone else who is doing this project. If you know somebody who's in college, that would be great. If they could tell you, "Hey, well, here's how much," especially if they're going to the same college you're going to go to, what your expenses are going to be like. Okay, but some of these might be blank. And then the main thing we're going to get is this down here, total expenses. Then we're going to imagine that uh, you're spending too much, and you said, I need to cut $125 a month. So that's how much you need to cut. And you define 4 areas you're going to cut, and those areas come from here. Okay, 4 areas you're going to cut, and then um, how much you'll cut, and it all needs to add up to 125 at least together, and then a strategy. And for that, come get that from the lectures when I gave tips on how you could cut to make ends meet, to meet your budget. Household, you're going to follow the same steps. It's just now you're assuming you have a household of four. You got a husband, wife, and 2 kids, and you want to know what are the expenses of the average household. Now, here, I specifically do not want to know what your house is spending right now. That would be a little creepy. I'm trying to find out what your family is earning. Also, this is when you're just getting out of college. When you first got married and have kids right away, you don't expect to make what your parents are making now when you're just married. Okay. So I would love, however, to see that you've talked to your parents to say, mom, dad, again, he doesn't want to know now what we're spending. Okay. I'm not trying to sneak in and find information about your family. But if I were just starting out a family, what do you think these expenses would be? Okay. Again, I'm not looking at annual because obviously that's just going to be 12 times the monthly. That's the main thing I'm looking for right here. Then you fill out this table just like we did with college. You're going to find 4 areas to cut, how much to cut, and strategies. Now you need to cut $500 a month. Okay. So that's the budgeting part of the project. So remember, there's phases for there's mental stages that you got to go through. Um, Even though you're kind of doing all of them at the same time, we logically divide it up. Um, Investing first, you have to make sure you've got some money to invest. That's why we started with the budgeting. So first, make sure you've got enough money. Then we'll do investing. And as I said in the lectures, that's that's why you want to talk realistically about money before you get married. If you're engaged before you get married, talk money. If this person seems to be flighty and doesn't really, even before you get engaged, if they seem to think money grows on trees, nothing to worry about, not that I want you worrying, but it's nothing to even consider, that might be a warning sign this person is not somebody, a stable person to invest your life in. So now we're moving on to investing, part two. And first, what you need to fill out the goals I gave you in the lecture. There's specific goals I want you accomplishing. And notice how I'm going to break this out. Okay, here you're 1 year out of college, married, no kids, earning 40,000 a year. Okay, and I want you to see that's going to be a tip you're going to use. You're going to need that to fill out some of the goals in here. Okay, so what you're going to do, you're going to put how much you're going to put what those top goals are that you can get from the lecture, and then you're going to put how much is required, how much you're going to need in there. So just to refresh your memory, the um, the main goals would be emergency reserve. Remember, you want that to be 3 to 6 months worth of your income. So look at how much you're earning and then just decide um, how much do I, how much of that do I need to save for it to be 3 to 6 months worth? How much do I need to save up for? That's the amount required. How long till you need it? Okay, that's what this one is. So emergency reserve, when could you need that? How long till you have an emergency? That's 0 months from now. So 0 hours from now, that could be right now. You could walk outside, find out, oh no, the transmission just fell out of my car. Okay, you get laid off, whatever. You don't know when that's going to happen. So that needs to be right now. The other goals, a car to replace the one you've got. Hopefully you're not doing that. Make that car last. But if you know I've got a car that's on its last legs, maybe say, oh, what, a year from now, something like that. Okay. Um, then house. um, Down payment, not the whole house, but down payment for a house. And let's say Atlanta area, let's say you're looking for, um, let's say you're looking for a house for, I don't know, 120,000. Okay. Um, which if you're making 40,000, that might be kind of steep actually, but we'll just go with that. Um, and by the way, that making 40,000, that might be one reason you want to look at the uh, extra credit at the end to see when we talk about occupation, are you going to be making enough to have a house? Um, and then down payment. So I think most advisors say you want at least 10% of your house going as a down payment. So what's 10,000? What's 10% of 120,000? Um, Notice another goal we usually will have will be kids education. Although notice now you don't have kids, so you won't need that in there. And then retirement. Um, Goal, we don't know exactly what that's going to turn out to be. Let's just say 5 to 10%. You can actually put that. So goal is retirement and then 5 to 10% of your annual income. How long is it going to be till you need that? Okay, so how old are you going to be when you get out of college? Like 21, 22, and retiring in say 45 years, something like that. Okay, so time, maybe 40, 45 years over here. Okay, so then that's how you fill this part in. Then you go down to establish a portfolio. Notice how I break that up. First, you've got outside of your retirement account. Remember, we got two different, we break your savings. You're doing them both at the same time, but mentally you have a division, okay? Because once you put it inside your retirement account, you can't touch it until you retire or you pay a tax penalty. So We're going to have these goals. We're going to take these goals and move them down here. All of the goals except for retirement, because this is outside retirement account. And you move the goals down here. Okay, so let's say we move down emergency reserve would go in here. And then what else do we have? Other goals would be maybe a car that we would need a year from now, house down payment, let's say 2 years from now. Those are good numbers just to not saying I want you buying a new car and a house right away, but just something so we can have something to plan for, giving a feel like I talked about in the lectures that you have to be thinking about all of your different goals at once. It's not just retirement. Okay. But the most important thing you get right away is your emergency reserve. So you move the goals from here down to here, except for retirement. Now, investment vehicle is what type of investment am I going to use to save for these things? Okay. So when it, how do we decide what investment vehicles we're going to use? And that's something we talked about at the end of the lectures. Let me pull out the notes here. Okay, so for each investment vehicle, to find, when I say vehicle, like that's just a fancy word for what are you going to invest it in? Okay, so how do you find the best investment vehicle? Remember what the two things we said uh, you got to think about. You got to think about first of all, how liquid and how safe does it have to be? Okay, so for liquid means how quickly could you turn it into cash? Okay, now let's think for emergency reserve. How liquid does that need to be? Okay, so you might need that right away. So how liquid can that be? It has to be immediately liquid. And in other words, you can't wait to say you can't have it a bond that you can't touch for 5 years. This needs to be something. Hey, I notice I've got a mechanical problem with my car. I need that money today. Okay, so when we look at and how risky can it be? Should you have your emergency reserve in stocks? Well, they might be doing well, but what if all of a sudden we have a stock market crash and now you need some money? Right? What if you had kept it in the stock market, um, and then we're in like end of March of 2020? Ooh, right? You got to sell low. That's not what you want. You don't have to sell stock to get cash. So emergency reserve has to be very low risk but very high liquidity. Be able to turn it into cash immediately, but not risk. Okay. So given that risk and liquidity, now you say what'll give me the highest returns. Okay. And if you look at your notes and you look at the different investment vehicles you got, what are the different investment vehicles? We've got money markets, we've got CDs, bonds, stocks. Okay. So out of all of those money markets, CDs, bonds, stocks, which of those are completely liquid? You can get cash anytime and you're not worried about the risk. The only one for those that would work would be money market. So I would put in here, right here would go emergency reserve, here money market. Now, where do we get this information? Okay, where do we get this? Rate of return and website. You're going to go find a money market to invest in. And I tell you where to go, right somewhere in here I give you, yeah, money-rates.com. We're going to go there and look. For all of these, I'm going to give you examples. You can't use the ones I have. You got to come up with your own. But I don't want you talking to anybody else, except for your parents. I'd love it if you talk to your parents. If you did this with them, that would be awesome. I bet they've already done a lot of this stuff. And they might have even better ideas. So I can't say that frequently enough. As you grow older and you're deciding, do I buy a house? Do I invest in this? Whatever. Talk to your parents. They've got decades of experience. Okay. They may not be good on memes, but they know personal finances. Okay, and before I forget, let's just ignore this last column. It's going to just have you do some math that I'm just not going to bother with. It'd be good for planning, but I'm just going to make sure you know how to find the investment vehicles. Okay, so we're going to go to a website where that money-rates.com. Okay. And we're going to pick money markets. And you know what? We could probably go with savings accounts too. They call them savings accounts, but really they're probably money markets, but they just put the name savings accounts. And we're going to see what's the best one. What's the best one we can get? Let's see if they even have anything on their money markets right now. And by the way, if you know of a better website with better rates, please let me know. Ooh, this is pretty bad. Yeah, this is what happens when the government just tries to run and force money into people's hands through the Fed. Okay, yeah, that's not good. Okay. Hopefully, when you look at this in the future, somebody, it looks different. Okay, but right now it's uh, beginning of May 2020, and the rates are just horrible. Um, but still, you got to put your money somewhere. Okay, and at least you're not being charged; they're paying you, even if it's a very low rate. Let's see what the savings accounts look like. Okay, now you can't just print one of these. What you have to give me is you have to go find one of these and actually go to the website, make sure it's actually there. Okay, so you can't just say, well, it's this one. You have to go and make sure it actually exists. So let's go. That's a link. Let's go to the link and make sure you can find the interest rate they promised. Okay, so 1.7, not bad. Now let's see if there's. You got to read the fine print. So if I check, you say, hey, I'm getting 1.7%. And by the way, do you want a high number or a low number on this? Yes, obviously you want a high. This is them paying you. Now, if you take out a loan, you want a low rate. Here, they're paying you, so the higher the better. Okay, so you've got to check and see though. Let's make sure there's no fine print that says, "Hey, you've got to have at least 50,000 bucks to get this interest rate." Because if you do, that doesn't count. I'm going to say no, sorry. Because if you're just out of college, you don't have 50,000 bucks sitting around. Okay. Um, okay. So what are the requirements? You got to be 18, current resident, ID password, account information. Okay. No hidden fees. They're not charging you anything. Minimum balance here, that's key. You only need $1 in there. Sometimes you might find it's, literally, I've seen some 50,000 bucks. Okay, so this looks legit. Okay, there you go. So, and make sure there's nothing, but before you actually bought it, this is actually how I've found CDs and money markets before. Before you actually go with it, call and make sure there's no other requirements like limits on you got to keep your money in there for so long or you need a minimum balance or something like that. I would also call FDIC. The government actually does a good job on this. You call and you don't get an answering machine. You get a person and you say, hey, here's the website. The name of the company. Is this the real website, the real company that I'm not going to get taken advantage of? Okay. Now, so what would I put in here? I put rate of return 1.7%. That APY, go with that, 1.7%. And then the website, it would be right here. Just you don't have to give that whole thing, but hsbcdirect.com. That's what I'd write in there, right there. Okay. Um, so that showed me you went searching. You figured out what my goal is. I need an emergency reserve. What I'm going to put it in, money market. What my rate of return is. Then you went out and found an actual money market. So this is, of all the things you've done with me so far, this is the real world. You're going to actually do this in the real world. You're going to go find money markets and CDs. Okay. And so you put the rate of return here and the website there. Okay. So what was the next goal? Let's say you decide you're going to get a car a year from now and a house down payment 2 years from now. So let's go through that same process. What investment vehicle? Well, first, you say, well, how far away till I need that goal? Okay. If it's 50 years, I've got a lot of time that I can take a lot of risk because the economy could collapse, and that's okay. I'll just wait it out. But if it's something I need real soon, I can't take the risk and I need it very liquid. So 1 year, that's pretty soon. So do I want to be in stocks? No, because if I need it in a year from now, I put it in stocks, we could get into a stock market crash and still not have recovered in a year. So stocks are out. Bonds, well, often they will take longer than a year to mature. Okay, what's next? CDs and money markets. Those two would fit. I could get a 1 year CD that would be ready in time, and it's not gonna, it's not risky, and I can get it out. It's liquid enough. I can get it out within a year. And then money market could also be liquid enough and not risky enough. So then those are the two options. Now I just see what's the better return. Usually it's going to be a CD because they said if you're willing to give up your money for a year, we'll give you a higher interest rate. See how you choose. You say, what's my goal? And then what's the best? What is going to give me the risk level, the liquidity, and then the highest earnings altogether? So let's see what would happen if we looked for a CD. I shudder to think actually right now, but we'll see. Okay, CDs. Right now they're actually lower, but the highest one, but you see the average is higher than the average of savings accounts. So let's go in here. A nice thing, even if this CD is lower than the money market, you want to, back on the emergency reserve, money market numbers will fluctuate. It might for now be 1.7%, but tomorrow it could change. It could go up or it could go down, but it could go down. So you want to keep an eye on that, check periodically, and you don't want necessarily even the one that's the highest. You want one that tends to stay high. So if yours has gone down, you want to, right after you get in, you might want to switch to something else because you can pull out anytime you want and say, find one that's being more consistent. So I'm going to get this, I'm going to look for a CD. Well, this one stands out, doesn't it? Um, and let me just go, I'm going to pick a random one here so you can pick whichever. Oh, you're not going to be restricted. Let me go down here a little. Let me see, I'm going to go do this one. PNC Bank. Okay. Learn more. Will that bring me there? Well, there's no link. Let's see. Again, if you've got a site better than what I've got, please let me know about it. Find large. Let me see. Well, this is a little disconcerting, isn't it? Looks like the only one I've got. This has never happened. The years and years I've done this. Let me see. Hmm. Okay, well, since there's nothing else available for this one, I'll let you use the one I'm going to go with. A little sobering, isn't it? Okay, so I'll let you, because this is the only one that we can find an actual link to, I will actually let you use this one. Again, I hope you watch this before we have our uh, online meeting so that I can answer any questions you've got about this. Give it a try yourself. Okay, so we got a CD, which what is a CD? Remember, it's kind of like an IOU to the banks. You said they give you, you give them their money, they give you an IOU, so we'll pay you back plus this much money, 1.6% in a year. Okay, so let's see. Read the fine print. $500 minimum. Okay, yeah, that's realistic. 50,000? No. 500? Yeah. No other fine print that looks like it would be a gotcha that they're going to charge some fee or something. Okay, we're good. Yeah, so I would take that as acceptable. And so what would you write? You would write your website would be marcus.com. So you'd say a car was your savings goal, investment vehicle CD, rate of return 1.6%, website marcus.com. And we don't have to do this last column. Then for house, you do the same thing. Okay, so that was for 1 year. Let's see, what did we say house? We're going to go 2 years from now. See what they can get. Well, it's still the same thing, 1.6. Okay, so you house down payment, CD, 1.6%. Something you could do, like if there are actually different rates, things are just so bad right now. If there are different rates, you could actually generally, the longer you're willing to go, the higher the interest rates you'll be getting. Um, if that's the case, you can do a ladder of CDs. But I think I talked about that in the lecture, so I'm not going to get into that, especially since the numbers right now aren't going to support that. Okay, so what does that leave us? We did emergency fund, we did a car, we did a house. The other major ones were kids' education and retirement. But notice you don't have any kids, no kids, and this is outside of your retirement account. So that's really all you need, those three. Okay, you can leave the others blank. And up here, after you list those main goals, you can leave the others blank. You don't have to get it all filled out. Okay, so now we're going to be looking inside the retirement account. Let me just see how long we've been going. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stop, and I'm going to do the other lecture separately just because um, I'm not sure how much this um, software can hold. So we're going to go ahead and stop. The next lecture I will give will cover inside the retirement. That's looking for mutual funds, and also we'll talk about the extra credit.